Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the webinar. Today is part two of our presentation with Health Sherpa and Amber Dotson. And I'm just going to roll through a few slides here at Cornerstone. You know the drill. Put your questions in the question box to the right. Today is going to be more of a Q&A format, so please take advantage of that. It's only 30 minutes long, so if you got a question right out of the gate, put it in there, and we'll be sure to dedicate a lot of time at the end of this for questions. Here's our information, and here's my email and phone number. And Eric is doing great. He just landed a job as the head women's basketball coach at a local high school. I'm really excited about round ball season coming up this fall. So Eric does a fantastic job with individual, and everything and anything you need to know about an individual, just give us a call, shoot us an email. We'll help you out. We have our new AGB portal that is rolling out on the 15th. More to come on that. You'll see details on our website listed right there. It's your new digital broker suitcase, AGB. More of a focus on group, but there's some stuff in there for the individual agent as well. And this is your resource to really dive into your business with Cornerstone. So talk to your rep about that and more. Earn up to $7,000 cash with our incentive program. You earn more when you sell more. For all group and individual new business sales between January 1st of 22 through the end of the year, you'll earn points that'll bring you closer to a $7,000 cash prize. Check it out. You'll also see that on our website. And let's toss it to Amber for part two.
Awesome. So just to catch everyone up, this is the Health Sherpa Agency Platform Training, part two. We kind of kicked off last week. My name is Amber Dotson. I am your agency account manager here at Health Sherpa. If there's ever anything y'all need, you can always take your questions over to Geoff. He can run them up to me, or you can contact agent support, and I'll be sure to hand out those resources at the end of today's presentation. So last week, we are going to go ahead and just pop into the platform. Okay, so this is our staged environment. Last week, we talked about the dashboard. So when you log in, kind of what all these buttons at the top do. And we talked about most of these tabs over here on the left. So we're going to go right here to our agency tab. This is where we stopped. As Geoff mentioned, if anyone has any questions, whether it's from last week, this week, or something totally different, please feel free to pop them in the question box. Even if we don't get to them today for whatever reason, we'll be sure to follow up with you. So we want to make sure and get those answered for you. So the agency tab here within Health Sherpa is really beneficial. So if you, like a lot of you, have your own agencies, what is nice is you can kind of set your agency up the way you'd like. So let's say you want all of your downline agents to use a certain NPN on applications. You could simply toggle this little box here, and then Ben Stiller's NPN would show up as one of the NPNs an agent can choose for an application. You can also, under the settings tab, which we'll show you in a moment, turn off the ability for an agent to use their own NPN if that's what you prefer. So something to keep in mind there. One other note too that I did forget to mention, because this is our staging environment, all of this info is completely made up. There are no sub-agencies by the name of PB&J that I'm aware of anyway, or Grammy, Oscar, Tony. So no need to worry about PII breaches. If ever you're on this tab and you kind of forget what all these little things mean, you can always hover over this little question mark with the circle and just click, and we'll get a little reminder screen that explains it as well. So again, as we're going through this today, no need to remember anything or memorize it. Just know that it's always there for you. Sharebook and Fullbook are great if maybe you work in more like a call center environment, or you like your agents to be able to support each other, right? Sharebook will allow, in this example, Emmy, Grammy, and Oscar Tony to view each other's book of business, but no one else's. Fullbook would allow, in this example, Tucker Downline to view everyone's book of business, but they can't do the same to Tucker Downline. No one can see Tucker Downline's book of business. Tucker Downline is the only one with Fullbook enabled. So again, super cool feature there. Allow folks to help each other out a bit. Perhaps you're the administrator of your sub-agency, and you want to kind of pass the torch to a few other folks in your office and give them a few of these access permissions and capabilities. If you toggle this little box here for admin, you can make them what's called a multiple admin, and they'll be able to do a lot of the stuff that you can, with the exception of join an agency to another agency, make additional multiple administrators. So a couple little safety bumpers there for you to keep everybody safe and on the up and up. And if ever you want to learn more, you would just hit the learn more. It'll bring you to the article that explains that. Okay, if you need to ever click into a sub-agency, you can do that here as well. The other nice feature is, let's say you have a ton of downline agents and you're just looking for one. If you just type their name in here, similar to the clients tab, it will filter and just pull up the folks that you are looking for. Okay, the next tab here is the settings tab. So your email address is your username for HealthSherpa. So you always want to remember which one you've used. If you ever need to change it, you could do that here. Same thing with your password. Two-factor authentication. We know this is a big one lately. A lot of folks who are still using double redirect are going to get all kinds of muddy water with this one. They're going to have to continue to enable this going to the marketplace. If ever you want to turn it on, CMS does love this. It's just an additional level of security for the folks within your dashboard. So always a good idea to turn that on if you'd like. We will skip here. The Covered California credential section is here if you're participating. That was just a limited pilot. And the FFM account section, this is super important. This should always reflect your personal FFM account information, your NPN, your FFM username. If ever you're not sure what that is, you can just go to portal.cms.gov and it's whatever you log into that account with, that's your FFM username. If you want to customize an agency name with a phone number or restrict a lot of those downline agent features, you can do that here. And then you would have a join code. You can even join an upstream agency such as Cornerstone simply by typing in their join code here. Okay, so now we'll get into the good stuff, the application. All right, so we went over last week, start application search marketplace, pretty much going to start you off on the same place. So let's do blue card. And this person is going to live in Georgia. Okay, you will receive permission to work with any consumer, of course, on their behalf. If you don't find any results, shockingly, because it's a made-up person, you will simply create a new application. You'll have a few privacy statements, just as you would on Healthcare.gov. And then already you're to the primary contact. So what's nice here is when you're working with customers, you have almost like a little checklist pop up here on the left. So if ever somebody gets a bit restless, you can say, hey, we're almost done with this section, then we just have a couple more. And they can kind of see their progress along the way as well, if they're doing this on their side through your marketing tab. Okay, let's say that I don't have a social. Please remember that if you don't list a customer's social on the application, they'll likely be asked for some sort of proof of identification down the road. So keep that in mind. Okay, we did cover a little bit last week that this is a dynamic, streamlined platform, right? So depending on the answers that I give our platform, you will have different versions that appear here, right? So if I'm actually in Fulton County, I can select that. Of course, it'll all update depending on my zip code. Okay, if I did want to list another address, I could. Email address is optional unless I go paperless. I do hope that that is self-explanatory, but in case you ever get a question on that, tell them to uncheck the box and then they can go ahead and cruise along. Okay, you've got lots of different languages to choose from, both written and spoken. These often are supported by CMS, so we don't just come up with these languages. And then we're already in the household section. So yeah, I'm going to be applying for coverage. Yes, I'd like to see if I'm eligible for cost savings. Who else is applying? So this is where it gets really cool. Of course, if I have a spouse that also needs to apply for coverage, I can add them here. But one thing that I really wanted to show you guys, let's call this yellow card. Okay, let's say this person is, I don't know, a child. Gracious, what year are we in? We'll say 20. Oh, less. There we go. When you select this relationship to you, a lot of folks have really complex tax households. HealthSherpa is able to support 100% of complex tax households, which is really unique. So anytime you need to say, let's say it's your niece's neighbor who's temporarily living with a customer, they need to claim them on the tax household or whatever, you've got all these different relationship to you options, but check out these two at the bottom, other relative or other unrelated. So really, we can support 100% of complex tax households. Let's go with other unrelated for a moment and just save. Let's say I'm going to claim yellow card on my taxes this year, but they're not actually going to be applying for coverage. I would simply uncheck the box. There will be additional options for me to include yellow card on this tax subsidy application, right? But if I do it here, I can go ahead and save myself some time down the road as well. Or I can do it then and then save myself time later. So anytime you want to add somebody, you would just check and uncheck the box. Okay, for sake of time, we'll remove that person and we'll hit continue. Are you married? We'll say no. And yes, I do plan to file. If I said yes here, it would say, great, is it yellow card or is it somebody else? Who else are we talking about here, right? So this is where I would have another opportunity to add that individual. So we'll say no. And nope, I'm not going to be claimed as a dependent. I don't live with anyone under the age of 19. Let's say I don't have a social. Sometimes folks get a bit sticky on tobacco usage. They say, oh, well, it's occasional. This is the way the Healthcare.gov actually defines tobacco usage. So you, the agent, don't ever have to say, well, this is what I think, right? You don't ever have to argue with the customer. You can simply read how this is defined. Okay, we'll say no. Yes, we're a U.S. citizen. No, we're not incarcerated. This one you do always really want to encourage folks to answer correctly. This will have direct impacts on subsidy eligibility as well as SEPs that are available throughout the year. These next two options regarding heritage and ethnicity, CMS does love to see these questions answered, primarily because it helps them better understand what's needed in terms of health equity moving forward, but they are completely optional questions your customer can decline to answer. Okay, we're going to say no. If I don't recall the difference, again, I can just hover over the question mark. You don't have to go hunting for any definitions or Googling on the side. Nope, not pregnant. Okay, so current income, and if I'm not sure what type of income that is going to be included, there is a full list right here. So again, everything lives in one place for you. Does Blue Card currently get income? We'll say yes. And let's say it's going to come from a job, but check out all these different types of income types, or just other, right? Again, we kind of cast a wide net with that other. So let's say the planet. Okay. Now, let's say your customer is actually paid hourly, okay? And they say, honestly, Geoff, I don't know what my annual salary is. I know I make $8 an hour and I work 40 hours a week. You, the agent, don't have to do any math on the back end. Again, the platform does it for you, okay? You can just key it in exactly as they're giving it to you. All right, and then we'll save. If I had additional income to add, I would just click Add New Income. We'll say no deductions, and yep, that looks about right, and then continue. Now, again, check out over here. So you've got everything kind of checked off. So you can see if you need to go back anywhere, you can just click on it over here. Or once we get to this finalize section, you'll be able to click edit and pop back that way as well. So if your customer says, oh no, I forgot something. So nobody qualifies for extra help in this situation. We weren't found ineligible for Medicaid or CHIP. So I'm not going to check those boxes. Yep, I'm currently enrolled, and yes, it will end before this day. This day will automatically update too, by the way. It's about 60 days out every time. Okay, any health reimbursement arrangement info? Nope, I'm good. I have not been offered ICRA, so we're going to go ahead and move along there. And nope, not offered coverage through a job. Yes, I will be losing coverage, and I'll be losing it on the 6th. And I don't want to give them the name for whatever reason. And then ICRA and Quisera questions again. So again, if your customer is eligible or you have any questions about this, we recently launched a help article on really the ins and outs of this stuff. So feel free to cruise around our help page for that. It's a great article, kind of explains what in the world those even are. And already we're at our finalized page. So like we talked about, I could click back up here if I need to bop back into a section, or I could just click on these edit buttons and it'll bring me right to these pages. So as a customer is cruising through their confirmation page, if you'd notice anything that perhaps got miskeyed, you can simply pop back. Okay, you read your agreement statements to your customer, they attest, and then you can go ahead and sign. And we'll request our eligibility results. This page can take a bit longer, especially if it's a more complex tax situation, but even with all of our explanations, I mean, you can see how quick the application is, right? I think on average right now, the applications on Healthcare.gov are about 30 minutes, 35. Obviously, it just kind of depends on the situation. On HealthSherpa, our average application time is about eight and a half. So definitely a time save. And then here are your eligibility results. So of course you can view your entire eligibility letter when it pops up. I believe everyone is already familiar with the new look and feel in those, Here's what those look like now. They've got little dots on the side as opposed to the old layout. If you have any questions about that, again, we have an help article to help you understand those as well. So we'll go ahead and choose a marketplace plan. Now, if I had multiple folks on this application, right underneath this button, it would say shop multiple policies or shop split policies. So if I have a customer and their household truly, they just need totally different plans. One person is always in and out of the doctor. The other person is, perfectly healthy, going great. They just have totally different needs. You can always shop split policies for them if you need to. And just like that, we are back on our shopping page. So last week, we kind of took a high-level overview of the shopping page, but I do want to dig into some of these filters a bit. Over here on the left, let's say you have a provider that's really important to your customer, right? If you just start keying their name in, we have a whole provider directory that pops up here. So let's say they want to add it and they say, look, it's not just a nice to have. I don't want to just know if the doctor's in network. Like I can look over here and it's not just something I just want to be aware of should something pop up. It's really a deal breaker for me. I can simply click the box and the plan sort will change so that it's only going to show me policies where this provider is actually in network. Okay, so depending on the needs of your customer, you can check and uncheck this box as they direct. Same thing goes with prescriptions. Now, I don't know about y'all, but there's a lot of prescription names out there that I cannot even pronounce. If I just ask the customer how to spell the medication on their bottle, I'm surefire, right? If they continue to give me information after that, I can say, okay, well, you're telling me that you take omeprazole. Okay, great. Is it a delayed release? Is it a Prilosec or was it, right? So it tells me the questions that I need to ask. Let's say it's this one. The next page here reminds me that I should ask, oh, okay, what's your dosage? Okay, it's a 40 milligram. Okay, great. Do you get it filled every 2 months? Every month? All right, great. And then done. So again, you don't have to remember all the questions to ask. The platform is going to walk you through all of that. And you can see here, each of the plan cards will show you how that medication is covered. You can also sort by usage. We kind of break it out if you have low users, medium, high, if that's more beneficial for your customer to discuss it that way. You could sort there. You could sort by carriers. CMS does require that we list all available carriers in a customer's plan area, rating area. But if your customer says, oh, I am only going with CareSource, great. You can filter out for that carrier, no problem. You can sort by HSA compatibility as well as metal level and network. Now, let's say your customer is not totally sure and they kind of want to see a few. You can compare up to 5 side by side and then just hit compare. And they'll actually pull them up for you. You can send this to your client. You can copy this link right into your email signature if you'd prefer to send it from your own email, or you can just key their email in here, type in a nice little message for them, and share. and it'll send it over. When this comes to them, they can also go back and choose other plans, just like you can, and your NPN would remain, on this whole setup, right? You don't have to worry about them kind of wandering off to a whole different agent. Okay. Let's say whenever you're ready, you actually want to look at the plan details and say, okay, I really think this one's going to work well for you. They can view the whole summary of benefits, the formulary, provider list. These all link to the official documents. Or you can look into each little section here. Check out the preventive care section. If I'm talking to a family, perhaps this is a helpful tab. If they have a specific question about preventive care for their child or for their women's health, right? I can filter this accordingly. And again, all of this is just already included here. I don't have to go hunting around. But if I'm ready, I can add a plan to my shopping cart. If I continue shopping, I can add dental if I'd like, or I could just go ahead and move into the application and confirm. So on this confirmation page, let's say I don't want to use my full APTC amount, right? Let's say I'm not totally certain of my income, so I really want to play it safe here. I can just adjust my APTC amount here, those monthly dollars that would go toward the premium. And then if I'm using NPN override, which we'll discuss here in a moment, I can choose that here, and then I would enroll. And then I'll get my plan confirmation page, and this customer would now appear in my client dashboard, which I'll show you. At this point, the customer will also receive an email. And on our help page, we actually outline exactly what that email looks like, but it'll invite them. You can see Blue Card is now under my clients tab. It'll invite them to create a consumer dashboard that looks just like their client card so that they can actually upload their own documents, pay their own premium, move forward on their own if they need as well. So that'll help you ensure that they get effectuated. One other thing to call out on this page is up here on the top right-hand corner. If ever you need support, you can come here. But on the carriers tab, you always want to make really good habit. Check this regularly. If you're licensed in a new state, you can add that here. If you've let your license go in a state, just click it out of there, right? If you're appointed with a new carrier, you can change your appointed and refer settings over here. So you always want to make sure these are up to date. This is how we know how to submit the applications you're submitting. Okay, and that is the application within HealthSherpa. So I'm going to hop right back over to our slides and find that on my screen. There we go. All right. Oops. There we go. All right, so I did want to share with you guys NPN override. So if you are going to use NPN override, there are quite a few nuances surrounding that. NPN override allows a downline agent, that's you or your direct downlines, to write with another NPN, like we talked about. The writing agent does still need to be licensed in the state, just like normal, but it's going to be super important to ensure that those carrier settings are accurately listed, because while the selected NPN will get attached to the enrollment, referrals cannot be submitted with NPN override. So if your downline agent selects NPN override on an app where, let's say you in this example, the NPN override agent is not actually appointed with that carrier, the app is going to default back to that writing agent's carrier settings instead of the NPN override agent settings and submit as a referral. So super important to always make sure those carrier settings are up to date. Okay, again, we know that NPN override is located on that plan confirmation page. And if you're using the NPN override feature, you would just select the appropriate NPN using the drop-down menu on the confirmation page. Again, if that person you select isn't actually appointed, the app is going to let you choose them, but then default back to your settings on the back end. Okay, if you know you want to submit the app as a referral, perhaps you're not using the NPN override feature even, you'd simply just check the box at the top and then the app would submit as a referral. So this is how that would appear. We're going to really quickly breeze through the client self-enrollment flow because I want to make sure that you guys have time for questions. This is what would happen when customers are using your direct marketing link. So we're going to see a lot of the same stuff as you, all the same views. And then your actual application is the same as yours, which we've already reviewed. Lastly, I did want to go ahead and show you these resources. So on that top right-hand side next to the cog, you have the little question mark with the circle. Remember, you did see that. So anytime you hover over that, you see several options. So what's new in our platform, how to get started with some just recap videos. This is how you can access that help center, right? I talked about we've got several help articles out there. It's just a list of FAQs. You can filter by searching, really helpful there. And then lastly, just contacting agent support. The contact info is listed there. And also here is their information. So anytime you have questions, you can always reach out to them. You can report a technical issue, give us a call if you just need a question answered about something nuanced that's popped up. And then keep in mind, our hours are typically extended during OEP. So just keep that in your back pocket. Great. Well, thank you all so much for joining our HealthSherpa training today. I will open the question toggle and just make sure we don't have anything there.
Yeah, we got a lot of questions. Yeah. Can we dive into this? You got a moment for some questions?
Absolutely, yeah. I didn't see any of the question one. Go ahead, yep, go for it.
Maybe they come over to my screen, but I have several questions. And we're going to spill over, unfortunately, but this will be worth your while.
Yes.
Once the app has been sent and you discover a mistake, how do you fix that mistake?
So anytime you are in the customer's client card, you can simply update their application within their client card.
Okay. And then,
does that answer that question?
I think so. And an additional question to that above. So I guess the emphasis here is if you do that, doesn't that issue 2 policies?
Great question. No, it wouldn't. So there are certain updates that are going to basically generate what's called an E34 file, which tells the carrier, hey, we might have an SAP situation happening over here. So if you're making a change like a zip code, that could totally change the customer's rating area. And then you'd have to maybe reselect the policy. But then the customer would still just get updated member cards and things like that. If you're changing something really small, like an apartment number or something like that, that won't really impact anything. No, it doesn't generate 2 separate policies. You would just save the change. And then, gosh, I think it's twice a day, carriers receive updated 834 files. So that would just generate over to the carrier.
Okay. And another question, why isn't a newborn an option, obviously on SEP, why isn't a newborn an option as one of the events, life events?
So our list of, are you talking about like if they've had a change to their household size?
SCP qualifying events.
Yeah, there is one that says change of household, and I'm happy to send you guys over the help article on that and actually the screenshots of the SEPs that are available.
Okay.
But that qualifying life event you can care for.
It's just worded differently. Maybe that's it.
Exactly. Birth of a child would fall into a tax household more or less adjustment.
And
but I can find exactly how it's worded and send y'all that screenshot.
Absolutely, and everybody will get a copy of this presentation. Kind of leads me to the next question. Someone missed the first session. You'll be able to access that through our website and our resource center. And if you were registered for it last week, you all got a copy of it, even if you weren't able to attend. But you can access these recordings. Okay, the trouble is, his question is though, that he always has trouble uploading clients' documents, and I've had the same issue myself when doing it through Sherpa. HealthSherpa would acknowledge that I have sent the documents to the marketplace, but the clients after 1 month and even after 6 weeks would later receive calls that their info was never received. Is this an issue that has been resolved?
I'm not familiar with that being a widespread issue. So if that ever happens, I encourage you to let us know, so that we can actually look into what's going on with that client's card and see why that's not linking up. I don't know of anything off the top of my head that would have caused something like that. So I don't know how best to help you with that one. But next time, if you ever see that happen, just let us know and we can definitely troubleshoot that with you.
Anecdotally, I have encountered this myself, And I think one of the issues is the size of the file. Sometimes the you get a picture of a passport or something like that, and these are really massive files. So it might go through, but it might not, fully transfer. So I always recommend, if possible, you scan it and convert it into a PDF, which is a lot smaller. Okay, and then that'll transfer. But
Interesting. Yeah, like I say, I haven't heard that issue with file size. So I'd
okay.
be curious, and you and I can chat offline too, Geoff, if you've got some examples. I'd be happy to dig into those.
Okay, absolutely. And next question, when adding medications, is there an option to list that you take 1 pill a day versus 3 pills a day? And which this ultimately affects the costs.
So what you can do is adjust the frequency of getting it filled. So let's say it's a quantity of, it may depend on the medication as to like how many are actually in a bottle, if it's 30 or 60. I can send you a screenshot of that to see if we can noodle around with that. But it may just be in the frequency of filling. So if I'm getting it filled every 30 days and that may kind of answer that question. But let me look into that and just triple check for you. In just the medication we did, it didn't have something that said 30 versus 60-day or 90-day supply or whatever. So let me look at that for you.
Okay, great. And then another question, does this system automatically, okay, reword this. Does the system automatically enroll you in a plan with Healthcare.gov? It's a great question.
I don't know if I understand that question. Can you rephrase that?
Does HealthSherpa automatically enroll you in a plan with Healthcare.gov?
No, so I think what you're asking is if you complete a subsidy application, are you automatically enrolled into something?
I mean, I think what he's getting at is this as good as Healthcare.gov? Is there another step
Oh,
involved? Yeah.
no, so this is well, I hesitate to say in place of, but basically you can do the application on healthcare.gov. That's the long, clunky version. Or you can do the application here on Health Sherpa. That's the short, dynamic version that we just went over. Afterwards, either way, then you're going to have a chance to pick a plan, whether you're doing it on Health Sherpa or on healthcare.gov. So the plans are still all the plans are the same plans. It's not like we have different plans than healthcare.gov. It's really just the subsidy application portion that's different because it's streamlined and dynamic on Health Sherpa.
Okay, great.
Does that answer that for you? Okay.
Yeah, I think so. And then next question, we noticed the option for hard to predict income. When you put additional income, it is calculated in the monthly income, and clients are incorrectly sent to Medicaid.
That sounds like it might be a nuanced issue. So if you don't mind, if there's a screenshot or anything else you could share on that,
Okay.
again,
Yeah.
offer remains. I'd be happy to look into it for you.
Yeah, if that agent would like to send that over to me, and I'll be sure to get that over to Amber.
Yeah.
I'll be happy to do so.
Only other thing I can think of too is on the quoter page. I don't think this is the question they're asking. On the quoter page, there is a way, whenever you type in the income, it'll say, oh, this person might be eligible. There's a little box under there that you can say, no, they're definitely not eligible for Medicaid. And then you
Okay.
can still look at the plans and stuff. But I think that's actually a different question than the agent is perhaps posing. So
Yeah, and part of it is, the income level. You can fall yourself into a gap where you can
yeah.
qualify for Medicaid, but you don't qualify for
Yeah.
Healthcare.gov, and that's a known issue. And I know they're trying to resolve that at the government level. Um, and last question, I'm under Cornerstone on HealthSherpa, but not my agency. How can I fix that? Please reach out to us, reach out to me or Eric, and we can get that resolved. And again, this is a tool. You're still getting paid directly, as you always have, from the carrier. Okay, so this is a tool. It's an administrative tool primarily, and so it doesn't reflect your relationship with the carrier whatsoever. But we can help you arrange that, structure that so your agency can be listed as well. We do this quite a bit, actually. And with that, fantastic. We'll wrap things up. Any final thoughts, Amber?
No, I think, if those few nuanced items, if anybody has examples, like I say, please send them over, or you can contact agent support anytime you experience this in real time, and they can troubleshoot with you in real time. I've gone back to that slide, so you guys all have their contact info, but I will follow up with a list of the SEPs that are available and where a newborn would fall in that and how to answer that. I'll look up the amount per day for those medications and get back to you, Geoff, on that so that you can trickle that out. I know Geoff mentioned too that last week's training was recorded. We also have webinars going on monthly for any agent to hop into. They're completely free. So I'll be sure to send that out to Geoff so that he can share that as well. And we also have full training recordings. We broke obviously this one up into last week and this week, but we have some that are just an hour straight shot. So you can kind of fast forward and hop to the parts that you wanted to see again if that's more useful. And I'll be sure to also send out that help FAQ page and the link to that, just so you'll have it. So are
Great.
there any follow-up items I missed?
I don't believe so. And that appears to be it. With that, we'll conclude the presentation. Everybody, have a great day.
Awesome. Thanks to everyone.